Okay, Matt. Now, as with everybody before these interviews, we have talked, so you do know this is probably going to be a
Don't know the
topic.
questions though. To be
You don't
fair.
know the questions, but
Yeah.
we have had a chat.
Yeah.
Now, you definitely don't mind courting controversy, and you aren't afraid to ruffle a few feathers. When I interviewed the late great John McCrick, he described the racing press as supine. Is that the correct pronunciation? Would you agree?
Pretty much. I would think he's right. But I think for a reason now, which wasn't a reason so much back in the day. Sorry. So obviously, if you're a journalist in horse racing, you need to be able to speak to people. And if no one will speak to you, then you're redundant. So there is quite clearly a conflict of interest. I mean, I don't know quite what we're talking here. If we're just talking slagging rides, then you choose perhaps certain words carefully. I mean, I have to choose certain words carefully. I can't say anything on telly that I'd like to say because you're being caught. And I've had that. I've suffered at the hands of a starter, apologies, a starter in Ireland and a jockey in Ireland. And there have been serious repercussions just because of one word out of place. With one jockey, I used the word, I kind of knew what was going on, but I used the word, he looked terrified at every hurdle. And just by using that word, you know, if you use that word and someone sees you, you have to justify that they're terrified. And if they say they're not terrified, how do I say they are? You know, so now you have to say, looked, there were indifferent jumps or things like that. I mean, it's pathetic, isn't it? But that's the world we live in now, whereas the world that the great John lived in was a completely different world. You could say whatever you like, and you wouldn't have any repercussions. There was no social media, there was no Ofcom. You know, it's a different world. So I would say, yes, he's right. It's infuriating for viewers and presenters that we can't call a spade, that we can't be more frank. It's infuriating that if I see something that I think is bad in a race, that I have to dance around the topic, whereas on social media, someone else can just type, that was crap, what was he doing, what was she doing, why is this person riding or training or whatever it is. It's infuriating because you have a world of social media where you can say what you like, pretty much, not of course in all cases, people have been sued for saying things in recent times, and a TV world where you can hardly say anything. So you have your audience completely frustrated by your presenters not saying what they're thinking. But that's the world we live in, and you just have to come to terms with it.
Now, what I was alluding to before, what we did talk about briefly, was people sometimes use that as a bit of a weapon against you. Oh, you want to be John McCrick.
Yeah, I mean, it's just ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, Nick Luck might as well be a wannabe John McCrick. Lydia Islop might as well be a wannabe John McCrick. There's no more correlation with me and John McCrick than those people. I don't get it. It comes back to your very thing about the people's punter or people's presenter or whatever you want to say. It's like, I say what I feel as much as I can say what I feel. Now, just the fact that in the past people have thought that's controversial just shows how little everyone else says. Because I don't say much controversial because you're not allowed to. And when we're talking controversial, it's not even controversial. It's just saying what you're saying. But you can't say that you can't do it. You just physically cannot do it. You'll be taken off air. You'll be in a courtroom. You will be sued.
Now, you talked about social media.
Can I just come back to Big Mac?
Yeah.
Just like, I don't even do the same job as Big Mac. My job is to try and unearth as much information from jockeys and trainers as I can. Now, if people say, hold on, you were in the betting ring on ITV. Yes. When ITV started up, I was given an interview and I was asked, would you like to be, we're thinking of you as the betting reporter. I mean, for a TV presenter to be on terrestrial TV is a dream come true. So you say, yeah, that's fine, I'll do that. Because I actually think I'm a presenter who can present pretty much anything. Like I can present the lead role, I could do the betting ring, I could do walk back interviews, I could do the ring. I actually think I could even talk about the horses, but they would be in very different technical terms to the right ones. So I wouldn't ever do that job, I hasten to add. But I would never have put me in the betting ring. Like I would have put me as an interviewer. I would have had me as a hardcore interviewer. But that's what the job was available. As it happens now, we don't have someone in the betting ring, and now I do the job that I think I'm good at. That's what I like to think. Other people have their own opinions, and I do it to the best of my ability. And even in that, people don't understand you. Classic example. Recently, Wizard of Eye won the Victoria Cup. Now, as it happens, in truth, I do not like that horse. But Charlie Fellows was there on the day, and Wizard of Eye is being backed all day. This is a horse I don't really take to. So I can go up to Charlie Fellows and say to him, chance of your horse today, Charlie? Like, why is he being backed? And I'll get, he's working well at home. We're pleased with him. Looking forward to the run. Or I go in and say, Charlie, I don't like Wizard of Eye. I've never liked that horse. He's soft for me. Now, obviously, if you do that and he goes and wins, you immediately get, oh, he hated, he said that horse couldn't win and he's just won. Okay, I'm happy with the abuse, I don't care. But I know in my heart of hearts as a presenter, if I ask a trainer or an owner or a jockey about their horse with a criticism, they have to defend that horse then. And so suddenly, you don't get the, he's been working well, I like this. You get the, he's had a gelding operation. I've always thought that he's a 6 furlong horse. We've worked him behind fast horses at home. We're going to hold him up and he's been front running. And suddenly you get a whole load of information just because you've attempted to go in on that question a different angle. So what I'm trying to say is, like, John McCrick didn't do any of that. He stood in the betting ring waving, and he did it brilliantly at a time and era when you could do that. And you could call people female, and you could be rude to people on TV, and people would find it funny rather than offensive. Well, we don't live in those worlds. If I did that, again, I'd be off the TV straight away. So, look, no one respected what John McCrick did in the betting ring more than me. And I fully respect him as a written journalist. But remember, he went from a different man from the written journalist days to the TV days. Like this, the TV day, it wasn't an act to a certain extent, but once he was in that betting ring, it was show business. This is like going to see Julian Clary on stage at Panto in London at Christmas. This is show business. And I would say to all presenters, people, like, presenters are taught. I mean, the one thing, if I was saying anything to a presenter, is never, ever get taught. Never, ever go to another presenter and say, how should I present? Zilch, nothing. You do it yourself, you become your own person, and you work out what is good for you. You do not need any help on this at all. Like, and then every day you go on TV, you say to yourself, this is a TV show. This is an entertainment program with racing. And you go into that shift saying, okay, how can I break the internet today with something? What can I create? What can I get out of someone today that will make Twitter, or X as it is now, go into meltdown? Most days you'll get nothing. And you'll try things that don't work. But occasionally you'll get a gem that will last forever. And I guess my biggest gem would go back to Josephine Gordon all those years ago, that has been watched by tens and tens of millions of people, of me and her when she was at Chelmsford, and she was asked, if her mum was watching and stuff like that, and I just sat there and did nothing. But you can't teach someone to sit on a screen and not speak. Like, you just have to feel that moment.
No, I want to carry on with the internet thing, because as we know now, you've explained how you've come up through the ranks. You've done all the stuff that's normally, you have to do to get where you are. Now you can go on to Twitter, you can go racing with your iPhone and your selfie stick, and you could have 170 odd thousand followers, and they can say what they, as you mentioned, they can say what they like, do what they like.
So you think about anyone in particular
well,
here?
no, but
You're putting me down a road here with a dead end, aren't you?
How do you feel about that, you know, is that good or bad? The fact that somebody that has just done that can, you know, get more followers than
Okay,
you, that
first
sort of
things
thing?
first. Any way you can make money in life, within reason, I'm not talking about those who are selling cocaine on the streets, but within reason, any way you can make money in life, 100%. It's bloody hard world out there. Everything is ridiculously expensive, and people have tough jobs, much tougher than any job I've ever done. So if you can make money, fine, but there are what I would describe as what I consider, and this is just my opinion, yeah, it's my interview, everyone can disagree, but there's scamming and there's scamming. And I think, you know, there has to be a relative amount of truth. You have to be truthful to yourself, that you're not selling a lie. And both in the world of TV, you know, TV, if you're a presenter, you shouldn't find things that you can scam about. You should be real and truthful and honest about what you do and how you do it. And that's what I would say to that. And, you know, but as far as making a living is concerned, do whatever needs to be done to make a living.
And are you the sort of person that would sort of sit there and read through all the comments about you? Is it something that you take to heart? I mean, you're a human being. I mean, you know,
I would read pretty much everything. Yeah.
Is it something that would upset you if somebody said something bad?
The problem is, Simon, that if you don't, like, some people's attitude is just don't read it or take no notice of it, or it's not important, Twitter's irrelevant. Twitter has no basis on the show we're doing this afternoon. That is the attitude of some. But the thing is, I get useful things from Twitter, like, or X, I guess. I'll call it Twitter for the rest of the show just because it's in my head. But people know what I'm talking about. Like, you get useful facts. You get, people see things that two pairs of eyes don't always see. So, yes, of course there's going to be abuse. I mean, I don't actually get that much abuse, really. I mean, I get, you know, obviously, you know, maybe 10 times a week I'll get someone saying, he knows nothing about horse racing, absolutely nothing about the sport. Fine. I mean, you know, I've only worked since the day I left university, all my life, every day. I have no problem with that. People who swear a lot, I have a problem with that on my Twitter feed. I will block swearers, C word, F word. I don't mind FML, I use that myself. I don't mind FFS. But if it's, you're this absolute la 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 la, I just block that, because it's, you know, communicate. Like, we've all got words. That's the great thing about being able to talk. Those of us who are lucky enough to do so, and I mean lucky enough, you know. Communicate, say something sensible, put up an argued response, reason for what you're saying. If it's just a whole load of swear words, but I don't have any problem with being slagged. No, like I expect to be slagged. I'm on telly. People, I will annoy people. Like, I'll be annoying someone as I'm talking right now. That's the nature of the beast. But I have a close-knit family, missus who loves me, kid who loves me, mum who loves me. What more do I need? Everyone else can hate me.